What's up, people? Before the seventh round of the Grand Tour in Romania, Keimer was in the first position with 1 point of advantage ahead Caruana and Van Forest, but Van Forest won a free point because Firuza cannot play, and Vincent Keimer lost his game against Sindarov. So Caruana, if he manages to win this victory, he can take the leaders and be on the top of the board, left in just 2 rounds. So let's see what happened against Pragg. Pragg opened with d4, d5, c4, e6, knight f3, knight f6, knight c3, bishop b4. That's the most employed move in the lead nowadays. In the candidate, we see this move many times, the Ragozin defense. Queen a4, the idea of queen a4 is force the knight to go to c6, because the knight is going to be bad placed on c6 in these queens, in the queen gambit positions. Queen e4, so, and later the queen is going to return to c2. Knight c6, bishop d2, this is a sideline, this is not the main move, but Fabi reacted very well, making all the normal moves. First, he takes on c4, it's very natural. e3, short castle, bishop c4, and now it's so common after d takes c4 and bishop c4, the plan that we're going to see by Fabiano, especially if you have the knight on c6, who is bishop d6. Because white advantage here in general in the queen gambit after black takes on d4 on c4, sorry, is the d4 pawn. The d4 pawn is of course better than the c7 pawn, and white have special advantage and more pawns in the center, who used to be useful, who have more pawns in the center than your opponent. And if apart these central pawns are advanced, you are slightly better. So that's why Fabiano here played bishop d6, and after queen c2, he played e5, just trading the d4 pawn and completely equalizing the game. Very good approach of this opening by Caruana. D takes c5, knight d5, knight d5, bishop e5, and position now is it's equal. But okay, they're still being game because Pragg goes for long castle, very aggressive approach, and the game is going to be so sharp now because we have opposite castles, and in the opposite castle position, it always was very interesting because both players are going to attack in the opponent king. So we're going to have a very interesting game. Here, Caruana plays the natural move queen e7, leaving the d file because it's not a good idea to have the queen in the same file as your opponent rook, especially if this file is open. So very natural move queen e7, bishop d3, improving the bishop, attacking h7, rook d8, and here Pragg start to advance his pawn majority because okay, white have a pawn majority in the king side and black have a pawn majority in the queen side. Both players should advance his pawn majority, especially because they have their majority in the side that the opponent king. So advance the pawn majority is the natural plan, but here was slightly better to play king b1 first by Pragg, but okay, if e4 is natural. But here the machine suggests bishop e6, and if f4 just take this pawn. But okay, so the machine recommend that, but in a human point of view, this is very difficult to play by black, and it's not so clear that it's really good because the machine just says 0.10 for black, but white have a pawn down. So I don't really like this. And okay, white here trade queens, but the endgame is pleasant for white. So I really prefer the move play by Caruana instead of the suggestion of the machine. Okay, now Pragg play f4, taking the bishop pair. He take and bishop d4. Good move, developing with a tempo, because the rook is perfectly placed on d1, so we obligate the rook to move. Rook d1, and now very good move. That's the move who helped Fabi to win this game, who is c4. Very good move. Yes, pawn sacrifice, completely pawn sacrifice, just to open files. Opening this diagonal, but especially opening the c file. That's the key idea of this move. Open the c file to attack. And before later maybe it's going to gain with a demo, but the main idea of this move is open files to attack the white king. So I really like this move. I put 2 exclamation marks. Um, very good move c4 here, opening lines. Bishop takes, and now we are going to see the strength of the move c4. Now, rook c8 came with a tempo, bishop b3, b5 it's not with a tempo, but black is threatening before, so it's a forced play. And while you are making all the time threats in the queen side, white cannot advance his king side pawns, and white cannot play nothing in the king side. Because now, if instead of c4 we make a normal developing move, maybe white can play e5 and well, or h3 attacking the bishop, or f5 trapping the bishop looks very natural, followed by c4, h3, g4, and white is going to attack so fast. But no, black takes the speed and goes faster than white. c4 uh, with a tempo, threatening. Rook c8, another threat. We are threatening the bishop. You cannot make a5 or nothing. We are threatening your bishop. Bishop b3. Now b5. We are threatening before, so you cannot play a5, h3, nothing. We are threatening before with many trouble. So he should leave here. The idea is that if before, I suppose that bishop f6, attacking the queen, and rook c2 is not check, that's the idea of king b1. But now, black is still making threats. a5. We are coming with a4 maybe, or with b4. Yes, we are just advancing, sorry. Because, for example, if I slowly move like f5 here, a4 is very strong. That's the idea of a5. So, white should directly attack the bishop. He haven't time to close with f5. And now bishop e6, normal move, takes. Till here, Pragg was defending very good, and Pragg is a very accurate player. He defends very good. Here, here he played f5. Well, the best move was queen b3, but okay, f5 was playable. But I prefer queen b3, trying to trade queens. Of course, black cannot trade, and if queen a6, a natural move, we can just take here, queen b5, rook b8, and queen e8, queen e5. Finally, just trying to trade queens. But okay, the rook game is more or less equal, and white have two extra pawns, but black is very active. So this should be a draw. But f5 was very interesting. f5 is interesting to play, but I prefer queen b3, just going for a draw, trying to trade pieces and trying to make a draw. But f5, okay, it's interesting, but black is still putting so much pressure with queen c6. Now here comes the first mistake of the game, but this is why, but that's why black position is easier to play. Black have a pawn down, but more active pieces, and in general, black play is easy in this position. That's why came the first mistake of Pragg. He played e5. Okay, looks like a natural move, but it's not the best. Rook c1 was the recommendation of the machine. Like I say, very difficult because you are giving the pawn, but okay, the c5 pawn is hanging. For example, queen takes is bad because just take and bishop e5. That's why rook c1 is playable. And if knight e4, I suppose that bishop a5 here. The idea of rook c1 in general is take the a5 pawn, but very difficult to play, of course. And rook c1, and if b4, here bishop f6 works. So rook c1, very good move, defending the queen and threatening bishop a5 and bishop a6. But okay, he missed that and he played e5. Okay, looks natural attacking knight, but after knight e5, black is, yeah, black position is very pleasant. Because yes, knight, queen e2, knight f4, queen g4, b4. Yes, all the time attacking pieces. You see that all the black moves have some threats. Now the threat is b4. Here we are threatening b4 again. We threat the queen, and finally we play b4. Queen f4, b takes, rook c1. And here is strange, because Fabi have a completely winning move. Okay, he made a winning move, but here queen g4 was the strongest move. Okay, black is threatening queen takes b2. So if, for example, if b takes c3, rook b8 checkmate, followed by queen b2. If rook a2, here we have c2, queen a2, and rook d1. Maybe he missed that. I don't know what he missed. Maybe queen f4. He doesn't like queen f4, but here he have, and because rook d8 have the problem of b3, b4, maybe b4, and the king is coming to b2 to defend. But here he have rooks. Rook c4, very strong move. Queen g5. Here h6, and if queen e3, here rook e4. That's the tactic that I suppose that Caruana means. Because okay, that's The only thing that he could fail that to find here rook c4, here h6 and rook e4. Maybe he missed this idea because the rest of moves are more or less easy to understand that is winning for white. But okay, queen g4 is winning. But okay, rook b8 played by Fabiano, especially in time troubles, are completely winning for black too. b3, a4. Here, okay, best move to defend is queen b3, but anyway, after queen b5, black is winning too. So that he played before and now, very important e3, fixing the pawn before and let's see that the white king is completely dead. White is still having a pawn up, but the attacking is very strong. e6, trying something, but just queen c5, rook b4, and c2 and Pragg resign. So very good game by Caruana, because Pragg just make one mistake in all the game, in a very hard position. And Caruana complicates so much the game here with this pawn sacrifice, because if you don't make if you don't complicate the game, if you just make normal move, it's so easy to play with 100% of accuracy. I mean, not easy, of course, but for this level of players, it's more or less easy to play accurate if in a quiet game. But he complicates so much the game, trying to force his opponent mistake. And after a huge pressure, finally Pragg made just one mistake and was enough to lose the game 5. And after that, everything is falling for white. So very good game by Caruana, who tied Van Forest and Keimer for the first place of the tournament. Just left in 2 rounds, so let's see how ends the tournament. Bye bye.